DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health. At Merck Animal Health, we're shaping the future of animal health with pioneering science, connected technology, and insights-driven solutions to bring our customers an unparalleled portfolio of choices to improve cattle care and operational efficiency. We support you and your legacy by helping you meet the challenges of today with the innovations of tomorrow.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. It's going to be a great show today. We have Dr. Reinaldo Cooke with us from Texas A&M. We're going to talk about bovine appeasing substance and so much more to decrease the stress, improve the health, improve the average daily gain of your calves. So stay tuned.
When you spot BRD in your cattle, that's your golden opportunity to target infection and its associated fever with a single dose of Resflor Gold, the industry standard dual therapy. To learn more, talk to your Merck Animal Health rep or your vet and see label at resflorgold.com. Animals intended for human consumption must not be slaughtered within 38 days of treatment. This product is not approved for use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older, including dry dairy cows.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. I'm here with Dr. Reinaldo Cooke. He is the Burkhart Endowed Professor of Beef Cattle Production at Texas A&M University in the Department of Animal Science. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, glad to be here.
It's great to have you. Doing a lot of great work. If you haven't been aware of Dr. Cooke's work in both animal welfare and beef cattle production and performance, it's global. And we're very, very fortunate to get him to be on the show today. And we're going to talk about something that I probably get questions about the most of anything I get questions about anymore after talks on receiving calves or weaning calves and this bovine appeasing substance, right?
Yes, sir.
And so why don't we just kind of get kick-started and tell us a little bit about what it is?
Yeah, you bet. I got introduced to this technology back in 2016-17 when I went to Italy to give a talk at the veterinarian seminar about BRD mitigation. And I got introduced to this concept, a very novel concept at the time, which was the bovine appeasing substance, which is the analog of the natural appeasing pheromone that cows produce when they're lactating, which helps with that calf-cow bonding and helps with the calf in terms of alleviating stress and that calming effect on the offspring.
It's naturally released.
Yes.
And then it helps the calf stay calm because it gets it from its mother.
Yes. So the example that I got at the time when I was first introduced to the technology was, Ronaldo, you know those nights where your baby's crying and you get up there and grab the baby and the baby just doesn't stop crying? So yeah, I know those nights very well. And you know, your wife shows up and all she needs to do is grab the baby stops crying right away without nursing. Say, hell yeah, I do. That's the natural appeasing pheromone that also women produce. So it's the same concept in cattle, which helps with the bonding of the cow and the calf, and also that appeasing effect on the offspring.
And again, this isn't something that's been developed overnight. You've been working on this for nearly a decade.
Yes, nearly a decade, and also always the results. Everything is published, is on the literature, and as researchers, it's our duty to report concepts and technologies that work and don't work. So all my research, I make sure it's published so everybody has access to the data. And the bovine appeasing substance is something that I've been investigating for nearly 10 years now, and the results are always consistently positive.
Right. And just so that you at home, bovine appeasing substance for us has been known as FerAppease.
Yes.
That's the one that's on the market in the US. And
yes.
So when you hear that term and bovine appeasing substance, they're synonymous with this. And I've reviewed the literature and it's been fantastic. You know, as we set up to take a break, kind of then set the stage a little bit as to how it came about in the U.S.
Okay. When I was first introduced to the technology, my idea was, what is the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to stress in cattle production? And it came to mind weaning time. So the first studies that we did was application at weaning that gave us very good, consistent improvements in that calves growth performance after weaning during a 45-day preconditioning period. From that, we transitioned to high-risk cattle, to cattle going to the packing plants. That's how we came up with the idea of using Therapies in the U.S. to alleviate the stress and improve production responses of feedlot cattle.
It's perfect. We're going to talk more about his research. We're going to talk more about the mechanism of how this works. Thanks for watching DocTalk. We have Dr. Reinaldo Cooke, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Cattle Intel, brought to you by Neogen. Today we're going to cover a little bit about the main culprits of external parasites and flies that our cattle operations really battle every single year. First and foremost, our pasture parasites, horn flies. You'll see these flies up over the tops and the withers of our cattle while they're out grazing. The other being face flies. Face flies feed on some of the nasal secretions around the eyes. Now, those two key pasture components that we really need to plan ahead and understand that they lay their eggs, that they come in contact during the grazing season, that we need to plan accordingly to make sure that we are treating those animals while they're out grazing. This can be through insecticide impregnated ear tags. This can be through some feed-through products that we can put in mineral packs, or some of the dusters or oiler rubbers out in the pastures. Whatever that may be, work with your local veterinarian to be able to have that plan put together. The second two main fly culprits are for more confinement type operations, stable flies and house flies. This is where environmental cleanup is very important, as well as monitoring those animals that are being impacted. It only takes a few stable flies to really pack a punch and reduce some of their performance. Unfortunately, they're not long-term feeders, so we need to make sure that we are either providing something through the feed, having some environmental sprays and premise control, as well as even some of these wasp species that can be released to be able to control some of those parasites. A lot of different options that are available. Work with your local veterinarian to be able to come up with a plan for you.
Thanks for watching Cattle Intel.
Success in the cattle business hinges on a lot of different people playing their part, from the vet to the cowboy and the nutritionist to the feed truck driver. You rely on them to get their job done right, and so do your cattle. Your expectations for the vaccines you use should be no different. Bimeta's cattle vaccines were developed and are made and sold by men and women in the cattle business. No smoke and mirrors, just real-world protection that you can rely on. Go to bimetabiologicals.com to learn more.
John McCurry with McCurry Angus Ranch. We are standing right now in our fall yearling bull pen. On our first initial run with FerAppease, we commingled 3 separate different pens of bulls together for the ones that's in the sale, and had virtually no issues with these cattle in terms of commingling them and their attitudes towards each other. Didn't have the riding and the fighting that we normally can experience. And I would highly recommend us using FerAppease, and would recommend that to anybody else looking to do so.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Reinaldo Cooke. He is the Burkhardt Endowed Professor of Beef Cattle Production at Texas A&M University in the Department of Animal Science. You do research in a lot of different countries.
Yes, a lot of different countries, yeah, especially Brazil, which is my home country.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to be a Brazilian.
Yeah. Well, we're proud to have you in the U.S. and what you're doing for our beef cattle producers.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate the work that you're doing. We're talking about bovine appeasing substance.
Yes.
And so let's get into, because as I'm sitting there going, okay, we know now that we have it, we've talked generally about pheromones, but now tell me kind of that mechanism. What's going on inside that calf?
Yeah. So in between the nose and the brain, there's an organ called the vomeronasal organ. And that organ, what it does is recognize scents and also pheromones, then translate that stimulus to the brain. So the bovine appeasing substance, as we mentioned, is the analog of the naturally producing hormone by the cow. So what it does is, when the animal smells the bovine appeasing substance, the vomeronasal organ picks up that stimulus and translates into the brain as a appeasing calming effect.
Okay. So what would be like because, you know, we always talk about cortisol levels and we talk about substance P and all these different things that we measure in welfare research, that as calves are stressed, I'm assuming that then that appeasing substance, that calming effects, prevents some of the production of these?
It basically alleviates the perception of the stress by the calf's brain, which then kind of alleviates the subsequent responses such as cortisol production. So the animals, they go through the same stressful situations, such as weaning, transport, feedlot arrival, initial processing, etc. But the calves, the animals that received the bovine appeasing substance, in this case FerAppease, they perceive that stress at a lesser extent, so the physiological consequences are also lessened. Example, production of cortisol by the body.
Well, it's kind of like everything, right? Every animal and every person is going to go through stress, but everybody handles it differently. So this is a method to help. You know, we still have production practices that we have to maintain. We have to wean those calves. We have to ship those calves. We have to, handle those calves. Yeah. And so it's important. One of the questions that we have is, how long does it last?
It lasts about 15 days. Okay. If you apply in this nuchal area right behind the horns, as indicated by the manufacturer, it should last about 15 days. Okay. Because the glands behind the horns, they're going to be kind of absorbing the active compound. And as those glands produce oil, again, to lubricate the skin, releases back to the atmosphere so the animal smells it.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a continual release on its own out of the oil glands. But it's important to understand that it can last 15 days because there's different times that I have calves in the chute that I could apply it and not have to run them back through the chute if it's within a certain time period prior to shipment, and we still are going to have that effect.
Yes, still have for about 15 days, still active in an animal's body. So you don't have to reapply within a 15-day period.
So the bovine appeasing substance, it acts instantaneously and it lasts for 15 days. When you start to think about other applications of this product, or you start to think about the best places to apply this product, what would you say are our target areas in the beef industry?
As I mentioned before, my first thought when I was establishing the research studies for this technology was at weaning, especially because the animals, the weaned calf takes about 2 weeks to recover from the separation from the cow. And then my next focus was on high-risk receiving cattle because of all the stresses associated with the feedlot receiving. Reimplant is also another time point where we can address the stress of processing cattle and reimplant. And the last period that I suggest is right before they go to the packing plant to address the stress of loading, transport, arrival, waiting the packing plant, which translates into more carcass dressing.
Yep. So whether you have retained ownership or you're buying calves, if you're receiving calves, looks like there's an opportunity for this type of compound. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive into some of Dr. Cooke's research that he's done on this product. You're watching DocTalk, and we're glad you joined us.
Founded by farmers, for farmers, United Patriot Coin stands with you. Diversify your financial portfolio with precious metals, a smart investment for uncertain times. You've worked too hard not to protect your assets. United Patriot Coin, precious metals for a secure future.
In the livestock industry, castration is a common practice to ensure proper herd management. All methods are painful, regardless of the age of the animal. At Solvit, we could not ignore the clear industry need for better castration solutions. So we developed Lidoband, a novel lidocaine-impregnated elastrator, addressing the pain associated with band castration. It provides local anesthesia throughout the castration process. Lidoband, a small device that can make a big difference.
They're here, they're hungry, and they can't be stopped with ivermectin. Choose Safeguard when you deworm your cattle to take out resistant parasites like brown stomach worm, Cooperia, Nematodirus, and others. With Safeguard's efficacy, you can kill more resistant worms in your cattle, so you don't leave potential on the table. Consult your veterinarian for the diagnosis and treatment of parasitism, then bite back at safeguardworks.com.
Ranchers, looking to elevate your pasture management game? Turn to Heinen Brothers for expert aerial application. With state-of-the-art equipment and seasoned pilots, we deliver precision treatments right to your fields. From fertilizers to herbicides, Heinen Brothers has your pasture covered. Visit HeinenBrosAg.com to learn more.
When the ones who have your heart need your help, count on us for everything they deserve, delivered fast. We'll work hard for you so you can work hard for your dreams.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson with Dr. Reinaldo Cooke. He is the Burkhart Endowed Professor of Beef Cattle Production at Texas A&M University in the Department of Animal Science, internationally acclaimed researcher in beef cattle production, and somebody I feel very fortunate that we got to be on the show today because I enjoy reading his research on many different topics on beef cattle production. So this isn't a replacement of good cattle handling or stockmanship when we talk about bovine appeasing substance, is it?
No, not at all. Nothing can replace proper animal handling and proper animal facilities.
Yeah.
Right?
And transporting and everything continually, but there's always going to be stress. I don't care how easy my flights connect, I still am stressed when I get to where I'm going, right?
Yes, exactly.
And so,
and doesn't matter how well you handle your animals, your facilities, your truck. Weaning is a stressful event. Shipping is a stressful event. Those cattle arriving into a new receiving yard, it is a stressful event because of commingling, a new facility, new diet. So any change in the animal's comfort zone is called a stressful procedure.
Yep. So let's jump into some of your research. You've done 3 different studies with FerAppease. One is a weaned calf study, another one is high-risk receiving calves, and the third one was one prior to slaughter. But Let's talk about your results from the weaning calf study.
Yeah, we've done 4 or 5 trials with calves at weaning, application at weaning, at the time of weaning. We've done that with Bos indicus, Bos taurus, Brangus, Brayfords, all kinds of breed types. Results are always consistent. So if you apply at weaning and you keep those calves around for another 45 to 60 days, you do see, on average, a 0.4 pound increase per day in average daily gain.
Oh my gosh.
So
it's a significant, and that's over how many days?
It's about 45 to 60 days.
Okay.
The thing is, with less stress, the animal drains less nutrients. They would go to support the stress response and use those nutrients for body weight development.
Yep. Any impacts on intakes?
Yes. It's amazing that intake on the first few days is always greater. It can be forage intake or actually TMR intake. The first week you see an increase in intake by the treated cattle.
Okay.
Because they're calmer, that new feed bunk is not a challenge for them. They go there and eat faster than the control ones.
And we are always trying to press, we want the calves eating 1.5% of their body weight by a week and a half on feed.
Yeah.
And if we aren't at those intakes, we know that there's a storm brewing, right?
Yes,
that bovine respiratory disease is coming. And so that just means less stress, more intake, better health, right?
Yes, exactly.
Did you see the similar results when you looked at high-risk calves?
Very similar results, but for high-risk calves, the main benefits of using the bovine appeasing substance is better immunocompetence on those cattle. So even though we don't see a major decrease in incidence of BRD, to respond better to that first antibiotic treatment, and mortality is decreased by quite a lot on cattle that receive FerAppease. So they're able to handle the disease better and use the antibiotics in a more efficient way.
Well, and it makes some sense that, in a sense that when we use it, when we have a chance to alleviate stress versus applying it after a lot of the stress has occurred, now we're helping with some of the damage control post arrival from the additional stresses that they're getting.
Yeah, like we mentioned before, those stressors are mandatory. They got to arrive in the receiving yard. They got to be commingled with different animals. I mean, it happens.
Yep.
It's part of the production system. They got to go through a new diet, step-up diets, finishing diets. So stress is there. There's nothing that we can do to really remove those stressors from the production system. But we can provide some tools for the animal to better handle those stressful situations, which is the bovine appeasing substance.
Yep, otherwise known as FerAppease here in the U.S. It's great. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have a final segment here with Dr. Reinaldo Cooke from Texas A&M. Hey folks, for your firearm and ammo needs, for gun safes and much, much more, and to have it personalized, come visit us at United Patriot Supply outside of Seneca, Kansas. You can also visit us online at unitedpatriotsupply.com. Be sure to say that Dr. Dan and DocTalk sent you, and we'll see you down the road.
Hey, I'm Clark Victory. I grew up right here on this little ranch near Chelsea, Oklahoma. Roped and ranched all my life. A few years ago, I had an injury that created what they call a frozen shoulder. And after speaking with the surgeon in Tulsa, he told me that he could make my shoulder better if he did surgery, but he absolutely couldn't fix it. And I called Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. I did the stem cell replacement. By 12:30, my wife and I had lunch and was driving back to Chelsea. We work around here. Some days we work pretty hard around here, and my right shoulder doesn't get sore. It's like a baby's arm.
One animal has this huge impact on your operation.
BVDV is one of the most costly bovine diseases, with losses of $15 to $88 per head.
The virus will actually cross the placenta and get into the fetus. As it's developing, its immune system will recognize that virus as it's supposed to be here. And so then that's where our persistently infected animals come from. They're going to shed that virus their entire life, and then it's going to impact your operation.
It is important to work with your local veterinarian and partner with IDEXX for the best solution for your operation.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Reinaldo Cooke. He is the Burkhart Endowed Professor of Beef Cattle Production in the Department of Animal Science at Texas A&M, a very busy guy. And so for us to get you here on the show, just very humbling and very thankful.
Thank you.
And we're talking about bovine appeasing substance, otherwise known as FerAppease here in the United States. I probably get a question about this every talk I do on receiving calves, any talk I do on weaning management, and this is the guy that's provided us the research that shows the impact that this can have to improve performance and health. You've done some work on slaughter as well.
Yes, I have. Just to go back into the weaning and high-risk cattle, the ROI are amazing at weaning. The ROI high-risk cattle is even greater, almost 15-to-1, because you keep more animals alive.
Yep.
Okay. And then the last segment of the beef production system that we focused on was prior to slaughter, because the stress that they go through from leaving the feed yard into the truck to the packing plant is extremely stressful, and that can be detrimental to carcass quality.
Yeah. So using this at different stages, like I can just sit there and picture as retained ownership, using it when I wean the calves, using it if I vaccinate them 2 weeks before I ship them, using it there because then it covers at the time of shipment, receiving calves, but at slaughter, you've seen significant increase in carcass yield, correct?
Yes. So the weaning and the high-risk cattle initial processing to me is a no-brainer. Okay, there's plenty of research out there now, including some economic assessments showing the very positive ROI. So the last part of the production system we focused on was applying FerAppease during that week before they go to the packing plant, because the stress, cortisol breaks down body tissues, okay? Cortisol burns glycogen, which is important to retain water in the muscle cells. So if we lessen cortisol concentrations upon slaughter, we're alleviating muscle tissue, fat tissue, body tissue breakdown, and keeping more water in the carcass. So that translated into about 1.5 percentage point increase in carcass dressing.
That's
in addition to that, we had a threefold decrease in incidence of dark cutters, which is related to glycogen too. So by alleviating stress related to the process of shipping cattle to the packing plant, we increase carcass dressing by 1.5 percentage points, and we decrease incidence of dark cutters by threefold.
Just to put it in terms, I mean, that's 13, 14 pounds of carcass.
It depends on the size of your animal.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, at $3 a pound carcass today, that's $30 to $50 per head.
Yes.
When we ship fats. So very significant. You're looking at other places as well to use this product?
Yeah, so any instance that we expose animals to additional stressors, that's where the product is going to help, okay? It can be, for instance, at the time of a reimplant, if you're running a program that you have to reimplant, that final terminal implant before slaughter. When you are treating cattle for BRD, at the time of the antimicrobial treatment, you can also use the product to help the animal handle better that treatment. So any situation in which you're going to take the animals outside their comfort zone, which is the definition of stress, the bovine appeasing substance is going to be helpful.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great show. and I'm very thankful that you would spend time with us.
No, my pleasure. Glad to be here.
It's great. Great information. Congratulations on all the good things that you're doing at Texas A&M. And thank you for watching the show today. If you want to find out where you can find more on DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. Always work with your local veterinarian. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson with Dr. Reinaldo Cooke, and we'll see you down the road.
At Merck Animal Health, we support you and your legacy by helping you meet the challenges of today with the innovations of tomorrow.